So, dear Dhamma practitioners, this is our ongoing meditation session. So, be comfortable yourself. And once we get connected to the network, we'll be ready to start the session for today. Okay, so dear Dhamma practitioners, be comfortable yourself and relax your body. Keep your back straight, neck head straight in one line, and your right palm on your left. So gently close your eyes and bring your attention to this bell sound. And while you're focusing to the sound, mentally relax your body, relax your mind, and relax your breathing with your thoughts. Do nothing extra. Just follow the sound, please. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the fully enlightened One. So, dear Dhamma practitioners, in day-to-day life, we all believe that we experiencing this life and we maintain our life. And if you look very carefully, that all the little things around us in this material world, maintaining this, we take as a part of our life. So when it comes to being, there are two ways of being. The big being and the small being. So as example, we know this is a cup, this is a pen, this is a computer, this is a light, this is a phone. So we know for a certain level what we use. And knowingly that we maintain our life and we spending our life, we govern our life. But even though we know this is a cup, this is a computer, this is a paper, that what we know is very limited. there is something unknown, the beyond that what you see. So if your knowing part is not complete, how you can say, I know? And at the same time, the big being means the person who experienced this all. And that person always personalize and depend on the self-centered view, and through the body, the sensation, through the feelings, and we build up the idea of self, and then we hold it to that. And that being ourselves, sometimes, mostly, that we maintain our thoughts. We hold it to our thoughts. And then we mention, oh, this is me. But there are a lot of things happens beyond your thoughts, even within yourself in this very moment. So when you become very limited to just the thoughts, how you can say, this is me, oh, I experience my life. So recognizing this completely, the very big being and the small beings, these little things, and at the same time, the experience. In ordinary life, you can't use the thoughts and come to understanding. So that is where you need kind of meditation. And when it comes to meditation, you have to do it by yourself. No one can do it for you. Like if you are hungry, you can't tell someone else to eat. You are thirsty, you can't tell someone else to drink water. So it is your personal responsibility. And when you sit, the sitting always, you have to go alone yourself. You can't go with the companion. You don't have any buddies that go with you. When you sit, even you have to let go the soul, your husband, wife, children, parents, partners, friends, everybody. Even you can't think about them. Just imagine. You have to go alone yourself. If you really look for results, so then you have to take it very serious when you practice. Because with all the thoughts, if you try to practice, in day-to-day life, nothing wrong that you have that relationship, but when you sit, that sitting means the very first thing that you have to get out of this all the attachment or the connections. Because from where this the self arise, why this self-centered mind arise, from where the ego arise, from where the I am arise, it arises with the nature of accumulation. It arises with the nature of clinging. It arises with the nature of grasping. It arises nature of holding. It arises nature of depending. It arises nature of harness. It arises nature of becoming with something. Becoming with something. Is something or somebody. So when you get out of that all, there's no way this self or the ego or the I am going to arise. So getting to that path is an art. So that's why practicing is necessary for us. And when it comes to that practice, when it comes to this mental practice, that always you have to remember we have the distraction in day-to-day life. So that's why we come to practice. And once you come to the practice, and what happens? Your distraction, distracted by the distraction. So one of the philosophers put it in a nice way. So once you trying to settle down with that, you're the being itself, what happened? The distraction that always happening with our emotions or the desire or the feelings get distracted by the distractions. So breaking down it, not to go with it, settle down yourself is art. So then remember, day by day, when you practice little by little, you gain some kind of deeper wisdom in you. And the world is that you start to recognize the very nature of the mind and the very nature of the world, because the very nature of the world, what the Buddha mentioned in a very beautiful simile, it's a kind of like a very poisoned roots with honey tip. The roots are very poisoned, but the very top of it, the tip point, has so much honey. And when you into honey, and what happened? By the time you end up with poison. So that's the very nature of the world. So how we go towards that? We go towards that because we can't see things very clearly as it is. Why? Because we mostly think we see through our thinking patterns. So that is where all the hindrances arise. And when it comes to that, one of the major part of our failure is aversion. So the aversion is a very strong hindrance that we hold back from our journey. So let's get into a little bit deeper and see. So why this hindrance, the aversion arises in us. So the aversion arises, one of the things we condition things. It's a mental formation. We format thoughts. And once we format thoughts, then out of that the formation arises. And out of the formation, we condition the environment or the situations or the people. And that is the one reason the aversion arises. And we always into that. And the comparison. So in day-to-day life, when we see things, when we hear things, what happened, rather than seeing it, rather than hearing it, we try to compare it. Oh, I don't like that. Maybe when someone come, the way that person walk, or maybe the way that person open the door, the way that person talk, the way that person sit. And sometimes we compare it to something, oh, I don't like it. So like that, we always in day-to-day life, what happened? We condition things. So when it comes to aversion, so the important thing that you have to remember that not only the aversion, that all the hindrance, there are a few things that you have to remember. The very moment that it arises, when the hindrance arises in your mind, you should know that. When the aversion arises, you should know the aversion is there. Another thing is, when the aversion is not there, when it absents, you should know. Not only the aversion, all the 5 hindrance. When the hindrance arises, you should know it arises now in your mind. And when the hindrance not there, when the aversion not there, you should know it is not there. So recognizing this difference is very important. Because that 24/7 this hindrance not going to be there. The aversion not going to be there 24/7. Sometimes it arises. So when it arises, in that very moment, recognizing it is important. So maybe you can't do it, but you are the one who is experiencing. It's like when you are hungry, you know you are hungry. So like that, when the aversion arises, you should know. But before you should know the aversion arises, you can see when the aversion is not there. So because your mind is so comfortable, and you can observe without judging yourself. You can observe without putting any kind of opinion on it. Because when the aversion is there, it's kind of like you have the turbulence. So when it is not there, you can have more clear mind. So you can recognize, oh, aversion is not there, or the hindrance not there. And when you can see this both, what happened? The very next thing, you are capable to recognize what are the conditions that leads to hindrance. That's it. That now you go little by little more deep. Even what are the conditions for aversion? What are the conditions for hindrance? So you can see. And not only that, the fourth one, there are conditions for to lead or the arising this aversion, and to remove it or to stay away from that, or when the hindrance disappear, for that also there is a reason. So once you recognize that reason, that also become a part of the wisdom. So as example, there is a newly born child cry. So then you recognize this child is crying. And then maybe you recognize why this child crying. So that is kind of like the condition leads to hindrance. And then you may think that the child feel kind of like lonely or need something to play. And that understanding will take you to give something to the hand. And so giving that something to hand, remove the child from crying. So then you know why that, how the child stop crying. So like that, there are certain reasons in you. When that reasons there, hindrance arise. When that reason's not there, then the hindrance remove. And once you know that, there is another wisdom come. You are capable to handle your mind, and without allowing this hindrance to arise, because now you know why the hindrance arise and what you can do to get out of it. Once you know that, you are capable to handle the situation without allowing the hindrance to arise. So for the aversion also the same. When the aversion is there, first you have to recognize aversion is there. The second is you have to recognize when the aversion is not there. And knowingly conditions, why the aversions arise. So that is one thing, as I mentioned, we condition the situation. Another thing is we are sometimes rejecting the perception. Sometimes we don't have an aversion, but we just reject it. So that become later, that become a reason to have aversion. Remember that, rejection. So as example, at home. So maybe you're doing something, so you do some work. Then somebody come and ask, let's have a tea. You just say no, that's it. It's a very simple one. You say no. You don't put that much attention to that because you're doing really some work and you have to finish it. You just reject it. And then by the time it ignites your aversion. So it's a deeper mental formation. And how it can happen? So you say no, and then it's just a rejection. And then another day that this person come and ask the same thing. Rather than say yes, to say no, you are more familiar. Why? Because these habits come as a result of repetition. So then what happens? Maybe you can do that. You can say yes, let's have a cup of tea. But there is a huge emotional currents overtake you. Even though you like to say yes, yeah, your deeper consciousness can say yes. That habitual pattern, because you said no, that habitual pattern start to come and reasoning the moment right away you say no. And even you don't think about it. There's nothing to think. Then, but by the time you already caught up with the aversion. So that is how when one thing is the deeply these aversions arise. So remember this. So then how we can pace for that? When someone come and ask something, put some attention. So you bring the awareness to the environment. Even though you're doing something, we live with other human beings, other living beings. We always have to share our life with others. Just imagine that as we all know that when for a national anthem, we all stand and we don't move as respecting to any country, to the flag or the national anthem. But just imagine, next to you, there is someone, maybe very old person or maybe a young person or somebody. Suddenly, this person fell down. So what you should do? So you think, oh, it's national anthem, forget about that person. I can't move. You're going to be like that? No. You have to look at what happened to this person. No, so like that. Maybe you're doing very important work. But when somebody comes, especially children, husband, wife, that in day-to-day life, that whoever live around you with your partner. So when someone come and says something, and in the very first thing, be nice to that person. Because you are a practitioner, you are a yogi, you practice meditation. You have to take all the environment situations to make your practice better. So in the name of practice, at least try to be nice to that person and just listen first. And maybe then you say, explain, just rather than saying no, then try. That is how you reasoning. So that is the building blocks of the vipassana. You reasoning and you telling. So I'm in a very busy work, so I'll come later. So like that, you can reason. So if it's come next day also, so rather than repeating the same thing, try to change. So that way you deeply uproot this aversion. Another one is the resisting. So the resistance come mostly, it's in our personally, it happened mostly with our own mind, our own behavior, our own feelings. So rather than resisting, you have to reasoning and look into that. Don't escape from or don't resist something. Look into it and see why this is. And that way also you get out of the aversion. Another one is very important, that distraction also ignite the aversion. So that is where your awareness is very necessary. And sometimes that the distraction come as a result of our very weak awareness. So when you keep looking something, if your awareness, your attention is not enough strong as a result of that, what happened. So another way, we talk few days, 2 days now, is energy and the attention not balanced. And when you want to put the attention, but it is not strong, what happened? The anything can become a distraction. So the very misunderstanding is this. Okay, so now I practice, so I observe, listen this very carefully and try to get into the point. This is how the aversion arises. It is not a magic. It is not somebody put it. It is not a karma even. It's nothing to do with that. And a lot of people get into this madness that with the aversion, but they blame a lot of other people. But look, this is what happened. So I practice meditation and observe my inhalation, exhalation, and then maybe my mind goes somewhere else and not kind of like enough strength in my awareness. And then as a result of that, I can't see the breathing, and then I disconnect from that. So while I am disconnecting, just imagine some sound come. Oh, there is a bell sound. So when the bell sound comes, that sound becomes strong. And then what happened? It come to the middle of that my awareness. And then what happens? That distraction that happened to me and start to I think, oh, this sound disturbed me. And then that ignite the aversion. Actually, not the sound. What happened? My awareness was not strong, but I didn't see it. I thought, oh, I practice meditation. Some people think just sitting and close eyes is kind of like a practicing meditation, and they think after 1 hour or whatever practice session, they should levitate or they should get result. It's not going to come like that. So, and now think, oh, this sound disturbed me. Oh, this person or that thing disturbed me. Actually, it is not that. Because it is lack of attention, the awareness, the not enough energy, the strength. And so but we recognize this outside thing as a distraction. So once you recognize it, what happened to you, why this sound became more stronger and disturbed me, and then you recognize, oh, it is my mistake, and then you put the attention. So that way you get out of the aversion. And the next one is conversations. When you have conversations, remember, for any reason, anything, in any condition, never condemn anything. This condemn, if you try to condemn anything, that ignite the aversion. So we condemn things with the comparison. And sometimes in day-to-day life, to show our favor, make some other people happy, and sometimes make other people validate. So kind of like we condemn this, the situations. But what happened when you condemn that way, unknowingly, the aversion arises. So that is how this aversion going to be with us. And that is where this aversion always hold us. And another thing is this personalizing impersonal things, like the traffic. While you driving, there is you stuck with traffic. It is not just only for you, but you personalize it. Weather, maybe it become hot, then it is not only for you. And that also ignite the aversion. And the dissatisfaction about others. So don't try to compare, especially the people. Don't try to compare. No, bring your awareness, bring the wisdom yourself, and know each and every person has a different character, and accept and respect each and every person as a different person. So that will help you to get out of the aversion. So another thing is, this can come as a result of a kind of like a sansaric journey, habitual pattern. Because through the sansaric journey, in different animal existence, used to be maybe more strong animals had the aversion. So then that way also it can happen. How you can break that? Be mindful regarding the moment, the environment, the situation, because being mindful is the one of the best and the major profitable skill that the human being have. So even though that we had the living experience, when it comes to human world, if you become mindful and you have power to erase that all other things rather than repeating it. So that way you can get out of the aversion. And also, as all of you know, practicing loving kindness and compassion. So that the good part, the positive part, but we have to be more careful. Because in day-to-day life, we are the one who feeding to this aversion. And we are the one who hold and develop it unknowingly. We live with it. So then get out of it and reduce the strength of it is very necessary. And then by the time you can practice the loving kindness, compassion, so that kind of things. But always remember, distraction, rejection, resistance, and the condemn, the situations, environments, the people. So that four things, try to get out of it. And then how you can face, because sometimes we have to condemn, sometimes we can't accept that everything, and try to reason it rather than just condemn. Try to reason it. So reasoning and bring the ability to recognize the cause and effect. Why it became like that. So then when you reject something, when you condemn something, it is just not the very simple action that you do, because you you have a deeper, very clear understanding based with the cause and effect. And that way, you are capable to maintain your conventional life also, but that conventional life will help you to have a deeper, very strong mental clarity. So that is how your conventional life and your spiritual life that can balance. So while you're living this conventional life moment by moment, so whatever you do, that should bring the help and uplift your spiritual life. So that way, your journey become more successful. And then with that practice, when you sit for meditation, and you gain that more and more result. So then remember from today that most of time when you look into that, the mind, sometimes you can recognize this mostly, it's a biochemical reaction. So little bit rather than go with it, remember to little bit step back and give a space, and without personalizing. Because even in day-to-day life, that when we personalize, that we kind of like misunderstanding this big being and the small being is kind of like that. We misunderstand. So as example, some people say, oh, when kind of like a little pain or discomfort happens, sometimes people say, oh, my energy block. It's totally misunderstanding. That energy cannot block. Energy not going to block somewhere that way. Because the very nature of the energy is always moving. And sometimes, oh, my shoulder, I have a shoulder pain. So what part of the shoulder that you mean by shoulder? Or maybe you have a little pain somewhere on your leg. So then you say, my leg hurt. So it is a unskillful recognition. Because you say, my leg hurt. So your leg mean what? From your hip to your toes. This whole, the place we name as leg. So when some little place have a little pain or the sensation, maybe even, and sometimes we the pain, we say, oh, I have a pain. Maybe you in your human life, you still never experienced the pain. You may experience some sensation, and maybe you catch that sensation as the pain. And the happiness in your human life, maybe you never still experience the real, very authentic, very organic happiness. There are a lot of people and they never experience that. they just see something and they say, oh, I am happy about it. But that person have no idea what is happiness. So like that's good or the bad or the right or the wrong, or the pain or the pleasure, these kind of things. When we personalize what happens, we hold it to the misunderstanding. So what you can do, when a situation comes, open yourself, mentally open and look into it. Don't afraid for that. That is what we practice through the meditation, especially with the Vipassana. Look into it. Don't escape from that. Go into the situation, go into the middle and see what this is. Practice that way. When the pain arises, pleasure arises, and go into that, and then you will recognize. So as example, there maybe you feel kind of like a pain, okay? So then, oh, my shoulder pain. Then you observe without reacting. When you observe deeper, you recognize there's nothing. So that's how you get out of it. And that's why it's a kind of like a more biochemical reaction. And you hold it as a thought, and then you just react to it. And that reactions build up aversion. So like that. So try to do a little more research yourself and build up the understanding, and try to widely understand rather than just hold on the surface level. So with that, let's get into practice a little bit now. So keep your back straight, neck straight in one line. And bring attention to your body and scan head to toes. And say Supatveva, or may I be well and happy, 3 times. Take a moment and think. We gathered here in this moment to practice this ancient meditation technique. All the Buddhas, all the enlightened masters followed this path and achieved wisdom. So we also gathered here to accumulate that knowledge in this moment with this sitting. May my body become more comfortable. May my breath be more smooth. May no difficulties come to me. May all the success come to me. Also think for a moment. This is the last moment we're spending in this very lifetime. And detach your mind from all your past memories and as well as any kind of future thoughts. Just try to remain in the present moment, observing the sensation of your inhalations and exhalations. So in the beginning, deeply and gently, breathe in, breathe out 3 times and find the sensation, please. And allow your inhalations, exhalations happen itself. Recognize it through the sensation and do nothing extra. Bring your attention to your body, please. Observe your posture. We cultivate loving kindness and compassion in our heart and radiate it as a light through entire your compound, village, city, state, country, world, around this universe. Also as far as you can through galaxies, other planets, stars. Reminding yourself like this. With clear intention, mentally repeat after me. May all living beings in this universe be well and happy. May everyone be happy and safe. And may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one out of anger or ill will wish anyone any harm. Expand the loving kindness and compassion beginning from your heart. Forward. Visualize yourself and send it as a light. To your backside. To your left side. And to your right side. Downward. And upward. To all six directions at once, like the moon, the sun, spread the light, to spread the energy, without any condition, without any limitation, without any resistance or without any judgment. Let your heart to shine with the loving kindness and compassion from the bottom of it, with the maximum effort to the highest. Wishing yourself, may all living beings in this universe be well and happy. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So first of all, we offer this practice to the great qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. And also by the power of this meritorious deed, may all of us attain to the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all your guardian angels and deities will receive these merits and increase their longevity and protect all of you from any kind of planetary influences or any ill effects. Ittavata mehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya buddhang pujemi dhammang pujemi sanghang pujemi Attaya imaya patipattiya jati jara vyadhi maranam ha paribunjisami Idammi punya kammang asavakkaya vahang hotu sabba dukkha pamunchatu. Bless you.